Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elisa and this is the Knitting Stories podcast episode 12. So it's been a long time since the last podcast episode, but I've kept you posted about a lot of my finished objects and projects. So today will be a sort of a, let's say, recap video somehow, but stay tuned because we will also have some new things to share. First of all, we have one new thing. So this channel has grown a lot in the past months. I started to monetize this channel and I have some objectives for this year. For example, I would really love to go to Barcelona KNITS, and I've started to prepare my trip to Barcelona KNIT, and I also realized that it's a little bit of it's hard when you've just started working and you've just started, you're at your first job and you're trying to, save some money, but at the same time you want to spend that money. And if you want to go to Barcelona KNITS, you also want to buy some yarn there. So in the end, I've just asked for some advice, and so yeah, I've decided to set up a Ko-fi or Ko-fi. I don't really know how to pronounce it, whether in sort of an English pronunciation or French pronunciation, but that doesn't matter. So I've set up a Ko-fi account and I'll link it down below so that if you want to buy me a cup of coffee or, I don't know, a sweet treat or something, you can do that via that channel. I'm always called Elisa Knitting Stories there, and I just want you to know that of course you're not forced or anything. That is just for anybody who has the pleasure to do so or anybody who has the possibility to do so, because I realize that as for me, doing certain things is hard because of my economical situation. The same is valid and is true for other people too. So that is just for anybody who'd like to do so. At the same time, I'll also link down below my Ravelry wish list. There I have a lot of the patterns that I have in my, in my Ravelry queue, so that if you want to see me knitting a certain project and to prioritize certain projects, you can just buy me that pattern and that will help me incredibly. And I will also maybe, prefer that specific project just because somebody bought me that pattern. This is something that a kind viewer suggested me in a previous video, and I really thought that it was time to start because, this channel has almost 2,000 subscribers, and that's incredible. It's just been a year since my last, from my first video, and I can't believe that, in 1 year. I can't believe that. I was not expecting that when I started this channel. So this is very, very important for me. At the same time, I just have one message. In my video about colorwork sweaters, I've addressed the issue of my bed, or the issue, let's say that somebody commented on my bed because I film in my room and I don't have another space to film in. And I just want to say that I am incredibly moved actually, and I'm incredibly happy and encouraged by all the lovely comments that I've received under that video. That was almost overwhelming, the quantity of people, the number of people who just wrote me a small message to reassure me about my filming setup and to just say that it's okay, that is my channel, this is my channel, and I can do whatever I want, and as long as it's cozy and warm and also in a certain way familiar, maybe, that's fine. And I think I agree with that. Because that previous comment really made me doubt everything I did, but I just realized that I did so that I doubt myself and my channel, because I'm, you know, that's my natural way of reacting to these kind of comments. I always doubt myself, and that maybe can be a good start to just improve, but sometimes you just have to realize that it is what it is, and I cannot change my background, and I actually like my background, so that's it. So this was all the you know, introduction, just a huge introduction to this podcast episode, but now let's get started with the knits. So first of all, let's start with finished objects, and I would like to start with what I'm wearing today. Today I'm wearing a finished object which is my traveler's cardigan by Osetta. I think I finished it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yes, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I started knitting this one in December 2023, but it was a very slow project, not just because it's, you know, I started working, but also because it's knitted flat back and forth, and you also have to make these bottom band separately, or better, you knit that with double pointed needles where you're knitting flat your body. So it was a long process because of this, and because I'm not very good at knitting flat, my gauge is very inconsistent, let's say. And actually I think that you can definitely see this from my finished objects. I don't think it's my best finished object ever. I just like wearing it. I think it's very cozy and it's very, you know, comfy. And it's this color, this creamy color, really suits every kind of outfit in my wardrobe. I don't know. I think that's a sign of a good of a well-chosen color, let's say. So, but let me tell you a little bit more about the Traveler's Cardigan by Osetta. It is worked from the top down. At first, of course, you start with the body, and after that you pick up for the sleeves and knit the sleeves in the round. Of course, you have to knit the back first, and then you start with the front. It is a drop shoulder construction, so definitely you know the process. I've knit this, actually the suggested needle size was 6.5 or 6 millimeter needles, but I knitted this one with 4.5 millimeter needles, which lets you understand how loose of a knitter I am. So 4.5 millimeter needles for the entire body, while for the ribbing here I used 3.5 millimeter needles. Actually my ribbing is not the best, but I like the, let's say, let me show you this. But I think that I like this sort of unfinished and very, I would like to say, very handmade look of this garment. And I'm not bothered by this look, so I'm fine. I used to knit this one, I used Manchelopis by Wool Dreamers in the colorway Blanco, if I'm not wrong. Well, it's the natural creamy white color that they have in their color selection. And I had a skein left over, and I just bought other two, and I used a little bit more than 2 skeins, I think. Yes, I have some leftovers still. I really enjoy working with unspun yarn. This yarn is unspun, and since I am a very loose knitter, you know, I don't have a lot of issues breaking the yarn. It just happened a few times, but I was not bothered at all. The only problem was with the Italian bind off. Of course, that was harder, but I just did something like I didn't keep sort of a long tail of yarn to do my Italian bind off. I just kept a short tail, and after that I inserted some new yarn to continue with my Italian bind off. After that, I chose these buttons, which are, sorry, I may have touched my microphone. I decided to apply these buttons, which are, you know, very I think they have some contrast, but at the same time they have those very big white spots and white let's say stains, so that they melt a little bit with the garment, and this is a look that I enjoy very much. So I went, of course, to a local yarn shop to select my buttons in person with my cardigan with me, because I'm not very good at choosing buttons, and I'm not really a button person, if I can say so. So I just wanted to have a reference with me when I had to choose these buttons. So that's it. I've worn these so many times because it's super comfy and cozy, and I think it really suits me with this color and also my wardrobe with its shape. It's cropped but not too much, and I usually wear this with just the first button buttoned, or like with all of my buttons buttoned, but really it really depends. When I have these on, when I'm wearing these, I don't feel it on myself in some ways, and I think that this is a sign of a good piece of wardrobe, I would say. Another thing is that this yarn is already pilling a lot. Yeah, I think this is an issue with unspun, which is normal. I'm not really an expert when it comes to unspun yarn, but I enjoy working with this. I enjoyed working with this yarn. Maybe the next time I will hold the unspun with another thread of yarn. Like, for example, I could try with alpaca, with a lace thread of alpaca, and let's see how the final garment will hold up. But all in all, I will call this a success, even if it's not the most precise garment I've ever knit. Like, for example, I don't really, the button band here seems attached in a weird way, because, I don't know, there's something wrong. There's a huge space. These stitches became really huge, and I don't know why, because I'm no expert when it comes to, flat knitting and button bands. This was my first cardigan, actually, and if you remember that this was an objective of 2024 to knit my first cardigan, but I'm not an expert when it comes to button bands, so I don't really know why this happened. I'm just going with it, and I enjoy my garment, and I don't care. And so this is it, I think. I really recommend Osetta's patterns. I know that she's very famous, she's a very famous designer, but I really think that her patterns are always well written. I always understand everything she writes. I always understand what she wants you to do, what she wants the knitter to do, and I'm always, everything is always clear, and she also gives you the final measurements of the garment, which is something crazy. Like, not crazy because, it's special. It's crazy because designers, also well-known designers, do not do that. While Osetta always does that, and I'm very, grateful for that, because it makes blocking really easier. Yeah, so that was my traveler's cardigan. After that, I have to talk about, I will not talk about my Busan sweater, because we have a saga for that. We will have a series of video, and I think that the second video of my Busan sweater saga will come very soon. I would like to talk about two garments I've already showed you in the previous video, which are the garments that were commissioned to me by Cardiff Cashmere, and I would like to do so in a fast way somehow, just because we have an entire video about those. But let's sum up what happened. Like last month, I think at the end the end of January, Cardiff Cashmere reached out to me to ask me if I wanted to sample knit some garments for them, of course using their Cardiff Cashmere Classic. And they asked me to make 2 garments by Petit Knit. The first one is the Elizabeth blouse, while the second one is the poppy tee. I don't have those garments here with me because I sent them to Cardiff Cashmere. And so I will insert some videos, B-rolls that I took before sending the 2 garments to them. Starting with the Elizabeth blouse. The Elizabeth blouse is worked from the top down. First, the collar is worked so that it has stockinette stitch with the right side facing both ways, let's say. It's a sort of it's a method in which you knit circular stitches casting on with a sort of double cast on, let's say. And I won't say more, actually. It's the Judy's Magic cast on. And then you start with the yoke, which is knitted. It's a simple raglan construction. The only difference is that at first you knit flat. Of course, because the the upper part of the torso is simply open. You have that V-neck. And it's a similar construction to, for example, the zipper sweater, but also to the cumulus tee or cumulus blouse. So it's a very simple knit, except for the fact that you have this collar, you have to make the Judy's Magic cast on, and you also need to do a double knitted band, let's say, to continue this collar also along the V-neck. I enjoyed working this pattern a lot because the first part was the right amount, the right quantity of new techniques, while after that, you only had to remember to do increases and decreases when necessary, and then it was a simple raglan with stockinette stitch all around your body. So that was the right mixture between new things, new techniques, and all but gold stockinette stitch, let's say. What I really enjoyed was the yarn. So Cardiff Cashmere Classic, I used the colorway 547 Cosmo, if I'm not wrong, and yes, no, it wasn't 547, it was the colorway, let me see, 647 Cosmo, and it's this deep navy blue, which I enjoyed a lot. I didn't think that I would have enjoyed this colorway so much. And the yarn was just a dream. It was so squishy, so soft, and when you wash Cardiff Cashmere, it really becomes the fluffiest thing ever. It's almost like knitting with a thread of mohair, even if you do not have a thread of mohair. So the experience was definitely nice. And the fact that I wanted to try Cardiff Cashmere Classic and Cardiff Cashmere yarns was one of the reasons why I accepted to sample knit these 2 garments. The second garment that I made for them was the poppy tee in the colorway 517 Hermes. So this beautiful, bright and warm red, which was almost a sort of orangey red, and I love that color, but I also loved the finished garment. While the Elizabeth blouse was a little bit weird on myself, I do not like that, that color on myself. Oh my god, the poppy tee, it was super hard to part with that finished object for me. So I think I will make one for myself, probably not in cashmere, just because it's too warm to wear cashmere here in Italy. Spring is definitely coming. But yeah, the garment was simply, was beautiful, I think. So the garment is this beautiful tee, which is worked from the top down. You have beautiful, beautiful lines in the back, which, give a shape to your shoulders. And then it's a sort of it's a weird construction, but I think it's well explained in the patterns, and I almost never had to use the support videos to make that. What I also enjoyed is the details with the pearl rows, both along the neckline, then along the holes, the armholes, and also at the bottom in general before the ribbing. I think that was great. That gave very classic and refined details to a very simple garment, and that was wonderful for me. And this is a sign of a well-thought pattern. Of course, the pattern is petit knit, it's well explained, it's beautifully written. I think I didn't find any error in the pattern. So yeah, all in all, I think that was a success. And as I was telling you, I've spoken way better about these two garments in my previous videos. So if you want to know more about my experience as a sample knitter too, and if you want to know more about my opinions about these two garments, let's go to that video. And also, if you want to know what Cardiff Cashmere sent me as a reward for making those two garments for them, just head to that video. After that, I'd like to talk about my works in progress. So after finishing the Elizabeth blouse and the poppy tee, I was really craving knitting something for myself. Every knitter is a selfish knitter, and I made a lot of things for other people. At the end of last year, I also knitted these two garments to be sent to Cardiff Cashmere, and I was really craving something for myself. And since, winter is ending, but at the same time, I do not want winter to end. I've just decided to cast on a new sweater with a yarn that I had in my, it came into my stash, I think, December of 2022, January of 2023. So it was high time to use this yarn. So I've decided to cast on the Harlow sweater by KNITS, and this is what I have so far. So the Harlow sweater by KNITS, it's this beautiful drop shoulder sweater. I just want to let you see the this braidy detail that you have here in the back, because this is the main feature of these garments. It's a simple drop shoulder construction, and you will see that I love drop shoulder just because I think it fits me better than a raglan construction. And so I casted this on, I think, 1 week ago, and it was very potato chippy, because at the beginning you have to do a series of short rows, and so I started with that, and it was very satisfying to see the sweater grow very fast. Also because the gauge is 19 stitches per 28 rows. So I started to use, for this sweater, I had bought this yarn, which is BC Yarn Loch Lomond in the colorway dark brown, I think, 07. It's this beautiful yarn with blue speckles. Let me see if you can see them better in a new, let's say, in a new skein. Of course, I caked them up because they are skeins. And you have these beautiful blue speckles that you will probably be able to see also on the sweaters, and also white speckles. The suggested gauge corresponded to the gauge of this yarn on the tag, on the band. But I was really worried because I am a loose knitter, so this means that I usually have to use, bigger yarns. So for example, if a pattern calls for sport weight yarn, it's better if I use DK weight yarn, and so on. So I've decided to hold the BC Yarn Loch Lomond with Titicaca by Holzgarn, which is a lace thread of alpaca, and this Titicaca is 400 meters per 50 grams, so I just had to buy 3 balls of Titicaca to have a sweater quantity. And by the way, I have sort of like 7 balls of BC Garn Loch Lomond, which means 1050 meters of yarn, and in order to have a fuller, let's say, fabric, I mean, I don't want to see a lot of gapes in my fabric, and I think I'm satisfied with it. Now, since I am a loose knitter, even if the suggested needle size is 4.5 millimeter needles, and even if I'm knitting with 2 strands instead of 1, I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles, which is really frustrating sometimes. But yeah, 3.5 millimeter needles. Now the problem is that this yarn is very dry, let's say. The alpaca is very soft, it's super flowy, I'd say, but this one is very sturdy and dry. So that it's a little bit hard on my hands, especially because I'm using smaller needles, I guess. So I'm knitting it with not constantly, but I try to put 4 or 5 rows every day, and this means having this piece after like 1 week of knitting, 1 week and a half of knitting, let's say. I know that the V-neck pattern, V-neck version of the Harlow sweater is very famous, probably also because Marlene Knits made a beautiful version of that sweater, but really that V-neck is not made for me. I really prefer high neck sweaters or the rounded neck sweaters. I don't know, what do you think? Which version do you prefer of the Harlow sweater? For me, it's definitely the round neck version, but I can see why people enjoy the V-neck one. About I'm knitting size small. I always forget to say what size I'm knitting, and I should have about 25 centimeters of positive ease, which is a positive ease that I'm very comfortable with. And I can see this as a very comfy and cozy sweater to be worn in the house, but at the same time I think it has some very refined details, as for example the braid that you have in the back, so that I could wear it also to go around and to go on a date maybe. So yes, this is beautiful, I guess. Also, I picked up these Titicaca in the colorway Havana, which is a little bit warm toned in comparison to this one, as you may see. Of course, the blue helps making the BC Garn Loch Lomond a little bit more cool toned, but I think I look better in warm toned colors. So this Titicaca is really helping my my fabric to be a little bit more warm, let's say. All in all, I think I will enjoy the finished object a lot, because I know I lack a very simple drop shoulder sweater with a round neck in my wardrobe. I only have round neck with a lacy collar and lacy yoke and a drop shoulder with a v-neck. So this was definitely something that was missing in my wardrobe, hence the, let's say, very natural and very neutral colorway that I'm choosing. At the same time, this colorway is not that neutral because of the speckles, because of the flecks. And this is the reason why I also decided to make a very simple stockinette sweater, because I want these speckles to really pop, to really, you know, show off in my finished object. I can't wait to finish this one. I want to wear this in this season, so I really need to work faster. Yes, I really have to work faster. So yeah, this is the Harlow sweater v-neck by Kadri, and this is probably my main work in progress. But as I was telling you, you know, I take the train every day to go to work, and also this yarn is making my hands a little bit I don't know, it's not hurting my hands, it's just a little bit hard on my hands. And so I really needed some smaller project first of all, with some, you know, squishier, I would say, and softer yarn. And so at a certain point I decided to cast on a new project, which is inside here, and this is going to be very hard to show. So I've decided to cast on a very different garment from what I'm used to, and it's a bralette, and of course it's by Naked Knit, because I love their patterns. I love the fact that they can be easily adaptable to every body measurement. And this is going to be super hard to show, but this is my simple bralette. It's impossible to show, guys. So you have to trust me. It's a simple bralette by Naked Knit. I'll pop up a picture of the final garment here, of the final result, which should become the final result of my work here. And yeah, this is a pleasure to knit, both because of the yarn and because of the pattern. So let's start with the pattern in general. So the pattern is by Naked Knit. I bought this pattern, and the pattern has also a sort of Excel sheet in which you add your measurements, and it gives you the right stitch counts to make every part. For example, the the triangles for the front and the back. Yes, I think that is a good, a good system, very well thought system, because it's really easy. You don't even have to make the counts. It's the Excel sheet which makes the counts for you, which counts for you. So that was really nice. The gauge was 28 stitches per in 10 centimeters. I don't know if I'm on gauge. Let's start saying that, because I didn't swatch, because I really didn't feel like swatching. This was a very impulsive cast on, and I did not have the energy to swatch. I just wanted to use this beautiful yarn, which brings us to the yarn. So I decided this one for this yarn because the simple bralette is a very simple garment. It's really stockinette and then ripping, and then you have the let's say how do you call them, straps, sorry. And so I went for this yarn, which I picked up at a yarn festival in Italy last year, and this is by Lani Vendole. I love all of their yarns, and yeah, this in particular was a Stormy Blend by Lani Vendole, and let me see. This was a stormy yarn by a Stormy Blend by Lani Vendole, which is per 50 gram you get 225 meters, and it's made of 70% wool and 30% alpaca. It's really soft. I think it has 2 plies, and yeah. Let's talk about this color. This color is called Favola a Venezia, I think, which means like a story in Venice, a fable in Venice. But it really makes me think about Monet water lilies, which is why I bought this colorway, first of all, in the first place, because you know, I'm an art historian, and when a yarn makes me think, or when a colorway makes me think about an artist that I love, it's just, I know that I will have to buy that yarn. And I don't know if anybody can understand this. I don't know this mechanism, but it's what is happening. And I think I did right. I think I was so right wanting to buy this yarn. I'll just show you a detail of one triangle. So let me say that I do not usually buy speckled yarns or very colorful yarns, but this one really caught my eye, and I love this because it's like the base is very neutral, let's see, as you may see. And then the colors, yes, there are some very bright colors, but all in all, the general effect is that of a very pastel-y colorway, which is really something that I enjoy. Plus, I don't have to wear these, you know, as an outerwear piece. It will just be a garment, to be an undergarment. But knowing that I'm wearing this undergarment in this beautiful color really makes me feel so special. So all in all, I'm very happy about this. I don't know if this yarn will be enough to knit the entire bralette, but I have some leftovers of a very like creamy neutral white sock yarn with which I think I could do, for example, the straps and the ribbing at the bottom, if this is not enough. But let's say I'm not worried about plain yard chicken. This is not a garment that everybody will see. So it could be also a good occasion to use up a lot of my leftovers in this case. Let's say that this will be very fast, and this is the reason why I bought another pattern from Naked Knit, which is the wrap top or wrap bra, for which I already have yarn, which is always by Lani Vendole. I really suggest you give a look to their Instagram first of all, and also to their website. I know that there are some shops which already have some Lani Vendole yarns in stock, also outside of Italy, and I think they usually participate in Barcelona Knits. So we go back to the beginning, and I really suggest you if you want to go to Barcelona Knit, I really suggest you give a look to Lani Vendole's like stand, because their yarn is really beautiful from what I can see and from what other knitters that I know have told me. So yeah, beautiful. I think I will buy some more from them when I will have the possibility, and this is one of the reasons why I've decided to set up my coffee, actually. So probably what you can expect from me is, let's say, that I finish this bralette in the next week, I think, and I will soon cast on another one if I like how this wears. Let's say that I enjoy the Naked Knit patterns because they're very easily adaptable. I usually have a problem with my bras and bralettes, which is that I have a very narrow torso, let's say, but my bust measurement is like 86 centimeters, so I have a huge difference between my torso and my bust circumference. But since this pattern works on your own measurements, it's really easy to take into account these differences. For example, it's really easy to modify, for example, the stitch counts to adapt for this huge difference between my torso and my bust circumference. I don't know if that makes sense. At the same time, I have to warn you, the language, the English of these patterns, of Naked Knit patterns, is not very fluent, I'd say. I'm no English speaker, I'm no English mother tongue. I just studied English, and I just use it right now for my job and for this channel. But I think I can understand when somebody is fluent in English and when somebody can explain something very well in English and when somebody cannot. And I have to be a little bit critical about this aspect of Naked Knit pattern. I don't think their English translation is that good. And I think maybe, I don't know, having another translator could work better from them. Again, I'm no translator. I just have a degree in English and English literature, but I'm no translator. But I think I can recognize as a user, especially when a pattern is well written in English and when a pattern is not. And I think this is not. So if you have already some issues with English and your language, your mother tongue is not, the pattern is not available in your mother tongue, I think you should be aware of this. So this is just me giving you some advice and some suggestions, let's say. So yeah, the simple bralette. I cannot wait to have this one finished, but it's so potato chippy because of this yarn changing colors so many times. Okay. And I don't have a lot of works in progress because I just finished, the commission for the 2 patterns like a week ago. So I'm just slowly going back to normal routine. Yeah, this is all. I think this was the end of the video. If you want to share with me what you're working on in this moment, or while watching or what you're working on while watching this video, I'd be the happiest person on earth. You know that I love when you tell me about your projects because it really seems like, knitting with you while I'm speaking to my camera. And yes, as always, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you could also give it a like, subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 2,000 subscribers, and also you could also follow me on Instagram at Elisa Knitting Stories. I've already told you a lot about the Ko-fi account that I've set up, and that will be linked in the description down below. And stay tuned because I will have a lot of news in the next videos. I will talk about my spring plans, my knitting spring knitting plans. I will talk about maybe doing a knit night all together, which would be wonderful, I think. So yeah, that I want to make knitting a little bit more social, and going to Barcelona Knits and organizing a knit night could be a good start, I think. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to me while rambling about all of my knits. I really appreciate that so much. As always, if you have some questions, just drop them down below. Write me on Instagram or on Ravelry or everything. Thank you so much. I can't say anything more. See you in the next one. Happy knitting. Bye bye.